Hello and welcome to the state of Kentucky. I'm Bruce Maples, publisher of Forward Kentucky, and we're glad to have you with us today. If you're watching live, we're glad to have you with us. And remember that if you are watching us live, if you comment on Facebook or YouTube, we can see those comments and we might share them on the screen, particularly if there are questions for our guest. And if you are watching us later, thank you for checking in on the recording. And remember, you can also subscribe to the podcast. It's interesting, there are people that you know that you could put them in just about any job in any place and you would know that it would be done well. Those are great people to know. It's even better when they are in leadership positions. And so I was thrilled to hear this week that Emerge had hired a new director and somebody I knew well, and somebody that is in that box for me of people that I know if they're put into a job, it's going to be done well. So Gretchen Hunt, welcome to the state of Kentucky.
Thank you so much, Bruce, and thank you for those kind words.
Well, I don't say things I don't mean, so we're glad that you're there. I'm excited for Emerge that you're there. But before we get to Emerge, we have to go back in time a little bit. 6 years has been a while. For those who are watching and don't know, and how would you know, Gretchen's parents lived 2 doors down from me and my wife, and her younger brothers were friends with one of my sons. And so I got to know them a long time ago, back when before there was dirt. And I didn't really know Gretchen. I mean, I knew of her, but I didn't know her until 6 years ago. We all decided we'd run for office, all of us at the same time. And there were, particularly in our end of Louisville, there were 3 strong women who ran for State House. And they just were super people and great candidates. And occasionally they let the old man hang out with them. And so I'm going to surprise Gretchen and throw this up on the screen. There we are, Gretchen and me, and then Debbie Barber and Ashley Miller. And we all ran. I ran for Metro Council. They all ran for State House. And unfortunately, it was not a good night for the blue team. We all lost our races. Although I have to say, Gretchen, that of all 4 of us, you are the one I gave the most chance to. I thought that you were going to come the closest. So what was it like as an Emerge graduate? What was that like for you?
So first of all, Emerge was awesome. I was doing the Emerge Kentucky Leadership Training Program to run for office at the very same time as running, which was a lot of work, but it gave me the skills immediately to apply. And Debbie Barber is also an Emerge grad, as is Ashley, then Miller, now Anderson. We're all 3 Emerge grads, so it definitely informed our work. It was hard work. You know, campaigning was hard. My kids were 5 and 7 at the time. My daughter would come along to a lot of events and things. But we managed it. You make it work. And it was an exhilarating, exhausting, life-changing experience. And I definitely don't define it as a failure in the least.
I would agree with you. I thought that you ran a great race. What was funny was our districts overlapped some. And so we see each other out knocking doors. And of course, this was before COVID, so you could actually go knock on doors. And I would do it again. Just to do it. I loved it. I loved campaigning. I loved talking to people, which is obvious for anybody who knows me. So what did you do after that? I know that at some point you went to work in the AG's office.
I did. So I had a great interest in policy. I've worked for many years as an advocate for survivors of violence. And so when that bright lining, when Andy Beshear won Attorney General that year, I really looked at how I could go into state government and elevate the work I was doing on behalf of survivors. It was consistent with his values. And so went there and had a just incredible 4 years working alongside him to push forward a mission of justice for victims of rape and sexual assault and other survivors, and just really loved that work. And I will just say, as a tie-in to my current work, I know we'll talk about Emerge Kentucky in a minute, but a lot of the work I did accompanying survivors and helping survivors to get skills to elevate their leadership roles is not at all unlike the work I'm doing right now. So still that passion of supporting women stepping into their power.
Did you report directly to Andy, or were you removed in the leadership chain?
So I was part of the leadership team, but one of the things about our governor is that he surrounds himself with leaders, and he says that those are his words, not mine. And he surrounds himself with actually a lot of women. So it was a proud statistic that 60 or 70% of his leadership team were women and people of color. Wow. So I always felt that he had an open ear to initiatives. And when we would bring initiatives to him, he would say, sounds like a good idea, go for it. So real leadership in empowering the people around him.
You know, it's funny, when you went to work for him, I did not know Andy Beshear very much at all. And as I watched him be Attorney General, I kept asking myself, okay, what's he really like? I mean, everybody has a public persona, but it's sometimes different in the office. And a couple of times I almost called you and said, particularly when I was starting Forward Kentucky, I said, okay, I want the inside scoop on Andy Beshear, but I didn't want to put you in that position, so I didn't. But now you're not there, and I can ask. So what's he really like?
So I consider him a dear friend. And I think the whole of Kentucky sees exactly who Governor Andy Beshear is every night at 5 o'clock. I was actually excited to see him, not glad we're in the middle of a pandemic, but his fireside chat, so to speak, his leadership during the pandemic shows a calm, steady hand, a compassionate leader, someone who's based in evidence and facts, and who listens to those around him and elevates those around him, like his chief of staff and general counsel, LaTosha Buckner, who is a rock star in her own right, arguing the Supreme Court yesterday. So that's entirely consistent. You're getting a glimpse of what I would say is his more private side. But what you see is what you get with our governor. And that's a good thing. Great.
I didn't warn you I was going to spring that on you, so I appreciate the honesty there. So he gets elected and goes into office. Did you go with him, or did you decide, no, I don't want to work in the governor's office?
So about a year ago, I love Frankfurt. I love politics, and I enjoyed my work with policy. And I also had a middle schooler and a soon-to-be high schooler, and wanted a little bit of more time and connection with them in Louisville. So I was really excited to work for an incredible organization, the Backside Learning Center, for just over a year. I have a history in working with immigrant communities. I was an immigration lawyer and have loved that work. So most of the workers on the Backside Churchill are immigrants, and did that work for a year. And then my newest job opened up, which was really sort of a dream position. So really excited to be here at Emerge Kentucky, where I am today.
We're getting some comments in the live stream, so let me share one of them from somebody that you probably know.
Thanks, Sherman.
Sherman Brown, Gretchen is the best. All of us would agree with that. And another one, Stephanie Kingsley.
Stephanie's Emerge Kentucky grad, incredible candidate, ran, hope she runs again, and is on our board. So hello, Stephanie.
So let's talk about Emerge. For those of us who work in the Democratic space, there are times when you kind of want to go, well, it's the old Will Rogers quote about, I'm not part of any organized party, I'm a Democrat. And so you kind of go, well, can we do anything well as a party? Because sometimes it seems like we, trip over our own feet. But Emerge is just this amazing success story that ever since I've been watching it, it's like, wow, this is really solid and a great success. So tell me why you decided to go there as the new executive director.
Well, thank you, Bruce. And I would agree with you. So we are the premier organization in the state that trains Democratic women to to run for office and win. We build a network for them of support. So whether you're living in Muhlenberg County or in Louisville, you have a network of women across the state that helps in concrete ways, both to uplift you and practically on a level to fundraise and leverage that support. And so being an Emerge grad, I had seen firsthand just the practical skills. We train people over basically a 6-month period. We've trained Democratic women with all the skills they need, from field to fundraising to public speaking. So we provide those practical skills, but that intangible, that lifting up and that network is something that is really hard to capture unless you experience it. We also have a great track record. We try each year to recruit from all over the state, from rural areas and urban areas. We try very hard to have at least a quarter of our class be women of color. We hope that rises. We hope we break all those records this year. So it's just a really incredible organization that empowers women. We're proud of our win rate. Our win rate of our women who were on the ballot in this primary was 87%. So women don't always run, but when they run, they win. And that's women from all different areas, from diverse backgrounds, from all socioeconomic levels and races and ethnic backgrounds. We win.
So I think there's another thing that you sort of hinted at, but I want to share a story, and pardon me for being personal for a moment, but many years ago, I was serving in a church as minister of music and education, and the church hired a woman to be youth and missions minister. And my wife at that time was a school teacher, but she had thought for a long time about going herself to seminary and maybe going into vocational ministry. And she told me later that seeing a woman in a position of leadership in the church helped her realize it was possible. It helped her see an opening. And I think one of the things Emerge does that people sort of take for granted, but I think is really important, is letting women see other women run and win and go, oh, I could do that. So what do you think about that?
Oh, representation matters. Seeing yourself reflected matters. And for women of color across this state who have not seen themselves represented in so many positions, we can see that change. So when Representative Attica Scott was the one woman of color in the legislature, I would pass her. And, it was hard. And when Representative Nima Kulkarni, the first Indian American, first immigrant born representative, joined her, it was a little more people. And then to see the faces when I accompanied a group of Latinx teens and youth to the Capitol in March, which I'm grateful for before everything shut down, when they could meet with Representative Kulkarni, you could just see it in the faces of the girls. These 13-year-old girls who are first-generation Latinx immigrants talking to a woman whose story in many ways was very similar, was powerful. So that's our goal. We want to transform the world of what girls believe is possible, what women believe is possible. And I just want to add that that's not just women of color, immigrants. It can be women who right now are leaders. So I love your analogy to the church, because a lot of women lead in their churches.
Oh, yeah.
But they may not have stepped into thinking, oh, I could lead in the political sphere. So we want to open up those possibilities as well.
That's good. We have another comment from the live stream with some emojis there. And one from Jason Cooper, representation matters. I will say that as a old white male, it would thrill me no end to have all women in Frankfort, because I know that we'd get a lot more done and it'd be a lot better. So how do you see Emerge right now as you take it over? And I'm going to change us back to this other view because I like it better. How do you see Emerge right now as you've taken it over? And I don't want you to, I'm not trying to pry, but strength, weakness, what's good, what maybe needs to improve, what?
First of all, there's always room for growth in any organization, and Emerge is 11 years old. and is poised on that cusp of becoming a more stable, bigger organization to do even more things, not just to recruit and train women to win, but also to demonstrate to the whole of Kentucky why women in power matters, what impact they make. When you look at Representative Joni Jenkins has done incredible work, but Representative Josie Raymond, who's an Emerge grad, and soon to be Councilwoman Cassie Chambers talking about childcare and family leave, those current issues, we want to make sure that all of Kentucky knows why women should serve. So we definitely, like any organization, like any person, entity, institution, are reckoning with how can we be more inclusive? How can we make sure our doors are open, that we are equitable in our practices, in our institutions, and our culture, so that in particular, Black women and other women of color absolutely see themselves in our organization and feel that they have not just a seat at the table, but a powerful seat at the table. So that's definitely growth that we're involved with, just as our nation is involved with that work right now. Our strengths are that we have so much enthusiasm. Another challenge is just the hit of COVID. We typically have fundraising events in person, and all that was canceled. So we definitely are going to be reaching out to our partners and say, invest in the future of women in this state. I do believe the future is female. I believe that for Kentucky as well. And so we just want to make sure to support that in all the ways we can.
How hard is it to keep your graduates, your current students and your graduates, and even yourself engaged and enthusiastic? You mentioned enthusiasm in the midst of a state that seems to be red from stem to stern. Emerge doesn't just train women to run, it trains Democratic women to run. So how do you keep everybody moving when the state looks like it does?
First of all, it's woman by woman. It is, I had a conversation with an incredible woman from Pulaski County yesterday who is considering Emerge. And, she's in an area that is not necessarily an area that's really conducive to Democratic women to running. And she said, I never thought of politics. And then 5 or 6 people have been recommending me, and something just needs to be done. We need more empathy. We need more compassion. Something needs to be done. So that's motivating. One by one woman by one woman. We're in this for the long game. We are not going away. We're not going to believe that the future is not Democratic and female in this state. And so it's one woman at a time. We have 250 alumni. We keep growing. And so we don't look at those numbers or polling or what's red and what's blue. We recruit in every county. So our strategy is that we are in this for the long game, and we have results to back that up. So that 87% win rate in the primary tells us that we're doing something right. We need to keep going.
So let me ask you this. Do you work with the KDP in terms of not just recruiting, but saying, okay, here's our bench. Here's some people who need a place to run. What do you want to do?
So we couldn't do this work without our partners. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about labor and the Democratic Women's Clubs and the party and, all the individuals, the countless individuals who are volunteers and recruiters and other organizations, not just political organizations. And we definitely do keep an eye out. We are strategic. We're looking at where are there vacancies? How can we recommend Emerge grads at all levels? We want to make sure that people know. I find that sometimes people just don't know who the women are who can fill those seats. And so we are that bridge, I think, between all levels of government and different organizations to say, consider this woman. She's come through our network. She's trained. She's battle ready, so to speak. And she would be a great asset. So
what are your goals? If you were to describe Emerge 5 years from now, what would you want to see that would be different from today?
So it's day 4. So I'm going to give myself a little bit of time to work on that vision. And it's not my vision alone. I certainly have goals for the organization. I have hard work. It's a lot like campaigning. I'm applying all that energy to this. But that is a joint process. Our mission is to increase the number of Democratic women from diverse backgrounds in Kentucky. Beyond that, I think sky's the limit for what we can do to transform this state. So in 5 years, I know that we would like to be larger. We would like to have more staff to be able to reach out more, in particular to do more with our alumni, continue to train them. You know, we have a lot of people we'd like to see run again. We would like to keep leveraging that network, and we would love for everyone in Kentucky to know absolutely what Emerge Kentucky is. Right now, we're a 2-woman shop and an incredible board of directors, an incredible founder, Jennifer Moore, who continues to serve on our board and just infuse the agency with so much wisdom and history. But we could definitely use more staffing and support to grow.
What about young people? You mentioned taking the teens up to Frankfurt. I don't know if you know Barry Craig, who writes for us. If you don't, you should. Barry's great. But Barry comments about his end of the state. He's down in Mayfield. And he talks about the fact that some of this red state issue is going to change when these younger people grow up. Because he said, you know, God, guns, and gays doesn't work with them. And they're not going to put up with that stuff. And it's going to be a different world. So how does Emerge reach out to women in their 20s and maybe their 30s to talk about running? Because I suspect that if I were to do a poll, most Kentucky women in their 20s and 30s, even if they're in politics, haven't heard of Emerge or haven't heard much about Emerge.
So we're going to change that. We want Emerge on everybody's on the tip of their mouth and tip of their tongue and thinking about it. You hit the nail on the head. You know, it's not just age, it's demographics. So that shift is going to really transform our world. And, you know, we partner. One of our board members, who's a 2020 alum, Carmela Jackson, just took a position as, I may get it wrong, but I think program director at Louisville Girls Leadership, which trains high school girls on leadership. Another notable alum, our Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman, also has founded Lead Kentucky, which trains college-age women to step into leadership roles, because that's the drop-off point for most women when they stop running for office. So we partner with them, and we definitely do. You know, we have young women in our classes. I think it's absolutely a good strategy to get people when they're young and recruit them. And I think too often, historically, I think for a while, it was thought that women had to go run for office after their kids are grown, when they've established themselves, if they have money. And while it is hard and it is challenging, you look at Cassie Chambers Armstrong, Josie Raymond. Josie Raymond was the first legislator to have a baby in office and brought that baby in and pushed for policy change. So she made that systemic structural reform, and she does it. So those ideas that women can't run at certain times or are too young, too inexperienced, just really don't hold water. What we're seeing instead is that you have a lot of great energy and enthusiasm and connection to the issues and a sense of urgency there. So we definitely want to recruit young women into Emerge. We generally want folks to look, so the commitment is that they have to commit to the 6-month program. They commit to run within 5 years, and it's recommended that they have an idea of what office they might want to run for and be somewhat close to that time when they will run.
I just want to comment again as an old white male that this whole thing about women running with children is so misogynist and so old-fashioned and so wrong. I mean, I never hear that comment about men running with children, with small children. It needs to be something where we say, no, 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 no. Parenting is everybody's job. Having a home is everybody's job. Running for office is everybody's job. Sorry, I got on my soapbox a little bit, but I get really tired of that attitude.
It is, and it's two-part. It's not seeing yourself represented. So we need to see more moms in office serving. And we also need to do the structural change. And so what Emerge Kentucky does, for example, is train Josie Raymond, who Josie's gotten 3 shout outs. So good job, Josie. But Representative Raymond was trained at Emerge. She runs for office, she wins, and then she changes policy so that she can use campaign funds for childcare, and she pushes for accommodations in the legislature, making that systemic change to make it more possible for parents to parent and serve in the legislature. So I just think that's the kind of change that we're talking about, that transformative change. It's more than just one woman on the ballot, one woman winning. It's winning so that you change the system so that other women can lead behind you. I want to just quote my friend Sherman Brown, who told me, I think, a really pithy quote. He said to me, because I've had access to a lot of power and privilege as a white woman who's served our governor, white woman who's had access. He said, you have the keys, make sure the door stays open. And so that's what this is about too. It's about running and winning and being individual, but it's about building that network of women and bringing other women along. So if you can't tell, I'm pretty passionate about Emerge Kentucky. I do want to say you may already, say this, but we're in recruitment right now. Applications are open for the 2021 class. They close November 7th. You can go to our website. You can recommend a woman to run to apply for the Emerge class. So I just really want to channel that enthusiasm and make sure folks know that right now.
Okay, I was going to come back to that, or I was going to come to that, but let's frame it up. It's a 6-month program. You commit to run within 5 years. You have to obviously attend whatever it is, virtually or in person or whatever that looks like. There is a cost. Are there scholarships?
We do not have scholarships. What we do is we don't want cost to be a barrier. So the practical reality is those fees help fund our budget, which is very lean. It's basically staffing. So it's pretty much that we need that to sustain ourselves as an organization, but we don't want cost to be a barrier. So we'll work with applicants to do either a payment plan and or help them to learn how to fundraise, because in a way we're working on that skill. We want women to be empowered to know that they can do fundraising. And to be able to do that even starting with their own tuition. So folks can talk to us. We don't want cost to be a barrier. We will work to overcome that. At the same time, we want folks to get comfortable asking for money, because that's such a critical part of running for office and making sure you have money to pay for mailers and yard signs and do the work you need to do.
Right. So if you are listening to this now or the recording later, and you are a Kentucky woman who is a Democrat and thinks, maybe I should look at this, then the website is?
It's emergeky.org. So EMERGEKY.org. And you can Google us. We're on all the social media platforms. Please do follow us. We have a couple great things coming up. We have some Zoom information sessions where you can find out more about what is Emerge, what's that process, and ask questions. And we're also going to have a series interviewing some of our Rockstar alums. So stay tuned for that on Facebook and on our social media. So,
and I'm going to put a plug in for our new event calendar that we just put up on Forward Kentucky. So, Ms. Hunt, I hope you will send all those events to us, and you can actually submit them yourselves. That way you know the details are right. So, Gretchen Hunt, new executive director, 4 days of Emerge Kentucky. I want to close with this comment that we got, because I think it's a great way to wrap this up. That's an endorsement right there. We like to talk about endorsements. There's an endorsement. So people, we need to support this thing. Emerge is wonderful. Gretchen is wonderful. So dig into your pockets, send some money, send some women, do what you can to help. Gretchen, congratulations. I meant what I said about being excited that you were there. I'm looking forward to all sorts of great things coming out of Emerge. Thank you for your work.
Thank you so much, Bruce. And I hope you run again. And I hope we see each other out canvassing sometime soon.
That would be fun. That was Gretchen Hunt, the new executive director of Emerge Kentucky. Really thank her for her time and for her service. As we wrap up today, I want to point out a couple of things. If you have ideas or suggestions for people you would like to see on the show, you can send them to tips@forwardky.com. And if you think the work we're doing is important, then the best thing you can do is become a member. Our paying members support all our work. So forwardky.com/join, and we will see you next week. Thank you for being with us.